right, ready?
All right.
Let's hit it. 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, everybody, I'm very excited. We're going to be recording this specific episode with my friend here, George. We're doing this local here in El Paso because, they're doing crazy stuff here, and I just wanted to take the opportunity to, do this live. First of all, we're able to provide you guys, that everybody that is watching, provide you guys with some value and share my friend's George's story, while at the same time we'll be recording the episode as we always do. But I wanted to show you a little bit about the behind the scenes, like what's going on. They have a cool office here. We have a good view of El Paso, so that's pretty neat as well. And I'll start introducing my friend here, but I just wanted to show you what it looks like. I have my setup, part of the hustle that we were talking about, that I had to carry everything, cameras, lighting, and everything. So it's pretty interesting. And before we continue, I'm just gonna share it on my personal Facebook, because you know how pages are. Like,
Yes, absolutely.
only a few, 2 or 3 people will see it, so I usually share it on my personal one. So I will look for it real quick. And if you want to take a few seconds to say hi to everybody.
Well, sure. Hi. Hello, everybody. Muy buenas tardes a todos. I definitely, I'm thrilled and honored to be part of the Hustle Show. And again, we're coming to you live from El Paso, beautiful El Paso, Texas. If you really look way, way, way out there, you will see the wonderful Ciudad Juarez. And we'll talk about that here in just a little bit.
For sure, yeah. Looks like I share it, so we should be good to go, man.
All right, fantastic.
So we'll do this the traditional way, as if we were not live. We're just gonna do casual talk. Keep it real, keep it very light. Definitely not an interview. It's pretty simple.
Sure.
And one of the things that I want to share with everybody right now is that we come from the same city. We come from Mexico. We come from across the border. So we have that instant connection, which you feel with the Latino community, and I'm excited to get into that. But if you're ready, I'm ready.
I'm ready. Yeah, let's get the road on the show.
Let's do it. Let me try to move this thing. Yeah, they can see me here. Okay. So 3, 2, 1. All right, hustlers. So in today's episode, we have my amazing friend, George. Welcome, George.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
How are you doing today?
Oh, man. Great to be alive. Blessed to be, obviously, within great presence. I follow your show. I follow the content, man. Amazing. If you guys haven't subscribed or have looked at his show, it's just something that's phenomenal.
That's awesome, man. I really appreciate, and I know you're doing amazing things here in El Paso too, and that was one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on the show. And just for everybody to understand a little better, you were born and raised in Mexico. You went through the struggles of having that tough life. The lower income that we know, the part of the Mexican side that is not very nice.
Yes.
It's tough. You were able to go to college, go for dentist. You are actually a dentist.
Yes.
But then you became an entrepreneur. Like, what happened there, man? What's the story there?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I believe I was an entrepreneur ever since a small little kid. I remember at the age of 13, 14, 15, selling newspaper. I remember, washing cars door to door, cutting grass, going door to door. So again, I believe I didn't know I was an entrepreneur, but it was the entrepreneurship inside of me that was being born, and so I was just privileged to, first and foremost, to come to this country. I know that there's still a lot of family, and I share my story with many folks that I come from very humble backgrounds. My beginning starts in Ciudad Juarez, and my mother wanted a better future for myself, and she sacrificed and left, a wonderful country of Mexico, coming into the U.S. In pursuit of the American dream. So I know we discussed yesterday, we talked about, from Mexico Lindo to the American dream, and I believe that's what I'm very passionate about. And I'll tell you my story about how I got into dentistry and how I became a dentist. And I love dentistry, by the way. It's not something that I'm never going to forget or not do. I still do, and I still will see some patients, from time to time, not as a chore, or not as something that I, feel like I need to be stuck in an office. I found a passion, and we'll talk a little bit more about what I discovered and what we're doing now in El Paso, with this amazing company.
That's great, man. And I know you're starting this big movement in the financial industry here in El Paso, and you are really disrupting the industry and making things very different, which is what I'm excited to share with everybody.
Yes.
And while you were trying to do this transition from going to a dentist to start your own business, did you have any doubts that you could actually be an entrepreneur and have your own business?
Absolutely. The doubts, I believe, were there. And going back about 20 years or so, I had the opportunity to become, I guess, an entrepreneur for the first time. In other words, I put my name and I registered my name, officially. So I guess that's what you could say, hey, officially, you are that entrepreneur. Being mentored by great mentors, and that is something that I always valued, and I've always looked at, people that are doing big things, people that are actually helping people out there. And so I was privileged enough that at the age of 18, 19, 20, I got mentored by a gentleman by the name of Joe Borrego, which a phenomenal guy. He showed me the ropes, showed me what dentistry was all about. The guy was just one of those inspirations when it came down to dentistry. So I learned quite a bit from him. He introduced me obviously to amazing dentists out there, in the area. Dentists like Jose Cedillo, dentists like Ernesto, or should I say Ernesto Moran. Dentists that, again, I value, and until today, I see them as innovators in dentistry. Enrique Treviño, that's another great dentist out there that, of course, I'm pretty passionate about because of what they've done.
Right. And I mean, if you were so passionate and you were enjoying doing dentistry and as a profession, what made you make the switch into starting your own business? What's the story there?
Well, the story happens, and like I think a lot of us can imagine what happens after 9/11. Prior to that, a few years prior to 9/11, I was able to build my first dental clinic, and I didn't have a degree just yet. But I was going to school, and I had my own dental clinic, of course, partnered with my mentor, Joe Borrego, and we made a phenomenal business out of it. But then September 11 came around, and just like many people, many families out there were devastated. So believe it or not, I felt like I hit rock bottom. One day, imagine this, one day, again, at this age, I'm 21, 22, 23 years old. I feel like I'm on top of the world. I'm actually doing something and inspiring others to say, hey, man, if that kid can do it, I can do it too. So it was a little tough there. So it goes from that point to September 11 happening to, okay, now what do I do? What can I do? Again, I hadn't finished school yet. So the most I could do is going out there and working maybe as a dental assistant, but a dental assistant only makes about $10, $12 an hour. I said, that's not enough for me and my family. Now, keep in mind, at this point, I already have a family.
Wow.
So I've got to make sure I've got to provide.
Right.
So I go out there and I get into selling cars. So I sold cars for a little bit. I was fortunate enough and blessed that I met a man by the name of Frank Ramesey, who, again, showed me the ropes when it came down to, finance, credit, etc. And it was a phenomenal journey there. I didn't last too long in the car business, but enough to learn how to deal with banks, how to deal with credit, how to deal with, consumers, etc. And shortly after that, I got recruited by Wells Fargo.
Nice. So you went from a dentist. You started your experience with the car industry, selling, reselling, flipping, basically.
Pretty much, yes.
And then you went into the financial industry with a bank.
Yes.
How was that transition like, coming from owning your business to go back to being an employee?
Boy, I got to tell you, Christian, that was really tough because the mindset was, again, you're free one day, and then all of a sudden it's like you're caged. And so for a while there, I felt like I was trapped. I was trapped. A lot of my goals, a lot of my dreams, I felt, and I'll be honest with you, I felt like I had settled. So there was a transition there for about 4 or 5 years that I felt like I settled. And that's one thing that I definitely want to make sure that, if you're listening out there, if you're listening to us right now, whatever you do not settle. Whatever you do in life, do not settle. And that's one of the things that I can share with a lot of young entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs that are entrepreneurs. Don't settle. Do not settle. A lot of the mentors, and we'll hear them out there, mentioning the same advice. You don't want to settle.
Right,
Once you
right.
settle, I feel like, hey, that's it, you die.
Yeah,
So you never want to settle.
yeah. And I think that's one of the topics that it always comes up. Like, and the journey's tough. Like you've seen it
Yes.
firsthand. The journey's tough. It's very, very difficult, emotional, physically. It's demanding. But not because of that, you're gonna give up and you're not gonna let it go. You're
Exactly.
gonna keep pushing and you're gonna keep going forward.
Yes.
So while we're talking about this a little bit, what kept you going? What was that vision that kept you going, that inspired and burned you inside, that you had to continue doing, that you had to continue trying? What was that vision like?
Well, basically, I had the urge and I had the passion of doing my own thing. Yes, I was working for a great company, great benefits. Again, 2008 happens. Okay, so another hit,
Another one.
another hit, and this time I think it was even bigger because here I am working for a company, great company, building up a nice retirement, 401k, etc., and then all of a sudden losing that or losing most of it. And so, man, that hit really, really hard. So, with the experience I had already obtained and with the knowledge that I had learned already about credit and how money works, etc., I go into the credit repair business. That was something that, again, at first, many people said, "Well, what is that? Is that even real?" And so I ventured out and I opened up, my first company. After working for corporate America. I said, "Okay, enough is enough. I got to do something different," and so, which I did. I went out there. Took out a loan, yes, got into a little bit of debt to be able to, get this up and running. But we were pretty successful at it. We made it happen
Nice.
with a lot of challenges, though.
Oh, for sure, yeah, yeah.
Anything and everything, man. It's gonna be challenging.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, it's something that we are constantly talking about. That people say, it's going to be hard. It's hard to have your business,
Yes.
but you have no idea how hard it really is until you go through it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, it gets crazy.
It sure definitely does. I remember the first few months, figuring out, well, how am I going to pay the rent?
Right.
The money's not coming in fast enough. So it felt like, am I going to fail at this or not? And so I kept on pushing. I kept on, doing, research on my own, figuring out, okay, what is the best way to advertise, market. So a lot of the marketing and advertising experience came from trial and error. I remember one year investing or, putting so much money out in advertising just to figure out what works. And to finally, something's working. Finally, we're starting to make some money, and great, fantastic. Along with that comes a lot of innovation. So I tried doing a lot of innovating. One of my ideas was to franchise. And still today, I'm pretty proud to say there's about 4 or 5 different companies still out there in business because of what we innovated back in those days. So that was phenomenal. Another great thing that that allowed me to become an entrepreneur and having my own business was the time. And part of the time I used wisely in going back to school. Because remember, 2001 happens, and I hadn't finished school yet. So I go back to dental school, finish up dental school, grab my degree, and start venturing out and doing, several dental clinics and several dental ventures, which are still happening nowadays. And, but again, everything takes a lot of sacrifice, a lot of challenges.
Right.
It's not, I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's doable. We can definitely, get out there and do it. So.
Right. So after you were able to get out of that cage, that going back to the financial industry and becoming an employee again, how did you transition from that into what you're doing now with PHP, which is an amazing company and is doing pretty cool stuff out there? But I'm excited to hear, like, how did you run into that company? How did you go again from employee to, again, now an agency owner?
Yes.
What is the story there?
Wow, well, I got to say, and of course, before PHP, I did get involved in, obviously, another phenomenal, great company where I found another mentor that I learned quite a bit from. And, his name out there is Mr. Swanwin. He's been in the industry over 35 years, so has a lot to offer. And, again, a great, great mentor, which I took a lot from and of course, learned from, which helped me innovate and helped me continue to grow in what now is PHP in El Paso. So now in El Paso with PHP is something that, again, I currently have phenomenal mentors in this business. Mentors like Jason Graziani, Rodolfo Vargas, people like and mentors like Patrick Bet-David. Which, by the way, Mr. Patrick Bet-David will be visiting El Paso here next week. If you've never heard of Patrick Bet-David, you want to Google his name and you want to visit his channel, Value Tainment.
Yeah, and hopefully he'll eventually watch this, and we'll say hi to everybody. But he's providing a lot of value around the company and helping other entrepreneurs. And it's not only that, but it's also inspiring you to keep pushing and to keep going. So, but how did you get involved? Like, what is the story that dragged you into PHP to start your own agency here in El Paso?
Well, I'll give it to you this way. A great friend of mine by the name of Hector Reyes, I've known Hector for many, many years, approached me one day and says, "Hey, George, I know you keep your options open." Of course, he used, some of the lines that we're taught to use, and But again, great friend, great mentor, great business guy, and so I go out to lunch with him. And, he tells me, "Look, I know you keep your options open. You're a business guy. Let's see what you can do with this." So I looked at the opportunity and I said, "This is it." I saw it right away. I said, "Entrepreneurship. That is what I'm passionate about. That is something that I feel that I am born to do." I was brought out of Ciudad Juarez, out of Mexico, to be able to inspire, maybe other people like myself or other people that again are looking into entrepreneurship.
Right. Now, this is the number. I even lost count of how many businesses you've opened, but this is not the first one. How do you compare this first few months of you guys being open versus the previous businesses? Has it been easier, or is it the same difficulty?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. It has its challenges, but it also has its rewards. With the experience that I've obtained in the past, with the experience, obviously, of the trials and error, dealing with people, dealing with situations, that's made me a better person nowadays. So, again, we look at all the great leaders out there. They've had challenges before. They've had, persecutions at times. It seems like, when you feel or they have felt like, man, I can't get a break. All of a sudden they have a break. I feel that this is our break. I feel that, hey, we've gotten to this point. Everything we've had to go through in the past has been to get to this point right now. And so this point right now in our lives is just phenomenal because we're inspiring people. We're helping people. It's in our DNA. It's in our name. People helping people, PHP. So it's something that I'm very passionate about and something that I definitely feel that we can do this even greater. When I envision what we can do here with this company is take this company worldwide.
Right.
I see what's happening in Ciudad Juarez. I see what's happening in Mexico. And guess what? We can do something in Mexico. Not only in Mexico, do this throughout Latin America. And why stop there? Continue. And make this even bigger and better.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I love the fact that it's a business, but it's always taking care of people and it's helping people and it's not just focusing on revenue and making more sales like most of the financial services out there do. So it's well appreciated that you guys are very clear, transparent, and honest and really want to help other people. And I'm eager to hear through all these different journeys that, pretty long journey that you've had, different stories that you shared today. Did you ever have one of those moments where you were about to quit entrepreneurship because it got too tough, maybe emotionally or financially or whatever it is, that you felt like, this is not for me, I got to get a job or something?
You know what? It has been several times in my life. The first time was after September 11th. I felt like, well, maybe this is not for me. And I felt like settling, which I did. But in the back of my mind, I said, this is not for me. I don't feel that this is what I'm made to do. This is not what I'm built to do. So there was that instant, situation. Another situation was in 2010. Well, I'm being praised for a great company. I remember being nominated Future 15 Businesses in El Paso,
Nice.
getting a nice trophy. Well, thank you, getting a nice trophy, getting all the praises in the world. But at the same time, or right after, felt like being persecuted. In other words, had some issues there, which again was not my wrongdoing. Again, remember the franchise that I had began. They got in trouble. Obviously, I tried defending, and because of defending, of course. So at that point in my life, I thought, man, is this really for me? Can I really push through this? Because again, I felt like, man, everybody's against me. Things are not happening the way I envisioned. I feel like I'm getting some success, and then all of a sudden, boom, we go down.
Doing it again.
So it's just a fight in me that I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. I've been brought up to never give up. No matter what. It's challenging. At times, yes, we're going to feel like giving up. At times, it feels like, oh yeah, just do something else.
Right.
But again, I feel that the good Lord up there is looking out for us and making sure that, hey, He's paving the way. He's
That's
paving the
awesome,
way.
man. That's awesome. And that takes back to the, when you have that passion and you want it so bad, you just keep going.
Absolutely.
You don't even think about it. You just,
Yes.
that's what we're doing here. Like,
Yes.
we don't even think about it. Just go do it.
Just do it. Just get it done. Yeah.
I love it, man.
Yes.
So through all this, the businesses that you started, and to what got you to where you are right now, starting this big movement and this big company that you guys are starting, what do you think is your secret to your success? That you know that's what got you here.
Well, part of it, I believe, is being relentless in everything that we do. And it all starts, and I'll tell you, it's no secret, the biggest thing that I truly believe in is God, and, for me, it's the 3 F's. We've got, faith, family, and finances. And then that sequence, in that order. So I believe if you put the big guy upstairs first before anything else, everything else will fall into place. And so, again, it's no secret out there. I know there's a lot of people out there that either maybe skeptical about, prayer. But believe it or not, prayer works. It's one of the first things I do in the morning, get up, prayer, read scripture, to start the day. At the end of the day, guess what? Prayer before we go to sleep. In the middle of the day, guess what? We do prayer. So a lot has to do with your faith. I believe, that's just my belief, and that's what I feel that has helped me through some of the biggest challenges in my life.
Right. That's awesome, man. Well, thanks for sharing that and being transparent with everybody, because one of my goals with the Hustle Show is to not only show people that it's hard, but it's also possible, and there's people like yourself out there, and even though it's hard, the journey's tough, you still make it. You still go through it and you still make it. And I really appreciate you taking the time to share all this with us. And I want to move from sharing your story to what I like to call the hustle round, where we basically play a little word game. I throw a word at you. It's very simple words. You're very familiar with them. And then you throw back at me one single word, whatever first thing comes to mind.
Okay.
Sounds good?
Sounds good.
All right. So let's hit it. Hustle.
Work.
Another word, work.
Hustle.
Employee.
Slavery.
Boss.
Manager.
Rules.
Break.
College.
Again, I think I would say slavery.
Okay. Yeah. Fear.
Fear. No fear.
Weakness.
I think strength.
Okay. Another word, strengths.
Endless possibilities.
Got it. Motivation.
Spiritual.
Okay. And last but not least, books.
Knowledge.
Awesome, man. You killed it. That was great.
Wow.
So,
awesome.
I just want everybody that is listening, I know you are listening right now, and you might be in the fence of quitting your job to go after your dreams, or maybe you started your business, but you're struggling in the first few years when tips get really, really hard. What would you say for them to inspire them, maybe a motivational hustle quote or some words that you can share with them to inspire them to keep pushing and to keep going and to keep hustling towards their dreams?
Sure. Never give up. No matter what, never, never, never give up. Keep trying no matter how many times you fail. Now expect to have challenges. Expect to be challenged. Expect to fail. Okay? But never give up. No matter what, never give up.
Awesome, man. Again, I'm very, very excited to have you here. And like I said before, this is a live interview that we're doing here down in El Paso, where we both are here. And I wanted to have the opportunity, but I'm very grateful for you to take the chance and meet with me, share your story and all the struggles that you went through. And I want to allow people to connect with you and find out more about what you're doing here in El Paso, or maybe even if they're somewhere else, but they want to hear more about you and PHP and everything that's going on. How can they connect with you? How can they find out more about you?
Well, we do have our Facebook page, PHP of El Paso, Texas. I've got my personal email, georgealmaraz@gmail.com. You can reach us also, personal number 915-373-8774. Again, our offices are located at 700 North Santon, Suite 3. Or should I say,
here.
right here. We're right up here.
We have a nice view. Everybody's enjoying the view here.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, yeah. So there you go. And I'll make sure that we, if you're listening to this on our podcast, we'll link everything on the show notes at thehustleshow.co. So everybody that is listening right now, they can go in and check everything out and make sure that they want to get a hold of you, they can do so very easily. Absolutely. So again, George, thank you so much for coming into the Hustle Show. Very excited to share your story, and I really appreciate the opportunity of you allowing us to go live. Not only are we recording this in person, but it's also being live streamed on YouTube and Facebook right now, and this is the first time I've ever done this. So
wow,
it's a different feeling.
Oh wow!
But again, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today and sharing your story. It was awesome.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.